want to start off in the spirit of Avelot to talk about two sad stories that I heard. They're not sad in the way people normally think of sad stories. These are the kind of sad stories that make people angry. And I don't know if it's the smartest way to start, but this is what I'm going to do. They're both stories about a famous mechanech, someone who has a mosad, a yeshiva, and he's in charge of being mechanech students. And the first story goes like this. I want you to tell me how we deal with a mechanech like this, and tell me what you think. Here's the story. There's a rule in the school that they want the boys to be motivated, so what they do is they have a program that if all the boys will learn every night when they go home, they will review what they learn in school that day for a half an hour, every single night for the year. At the end of the year, they get a special prize. They go on a trip. And it's a big thing. It's not a rich school. It's not a rich community. These kids don't always do things like this. This is a real thing. It's not going to a museum. They're doing something the kids want to do. They go to Six Flags. And the whole school will go together. And as long as there's a room for a certain amount of times you can miss, but if everyone keeps to the program and they meet enough hours, all the kids can go. And the whole yeshiva supports each other, they encourage each other, and they want to go on this trip. There's one boy, there's a lot of boys who are excited. I'm focusing on one specific boy who's excited, and he never went. He always heard about this park, and he wants to go, and he's leading the effort. He goes ahead, he goes home, he buys the big oak tag, and he's the one who makes the chart for the whole class of all the boys' names, and he uses a ruler with a pencil to mark all the rows where they're going to put in the stars or the checks. He's the kid who's into the whole thing. And he works for a couple of days making this grid with everyone's names, and the Rebbe lets him be the one to put the star in every day. And at the end, as they're getting close and they see that they're almost there, everyone in the class met the threshold to go on the trip. The excitement is he can't hold it in. And he goes and he gets a brochure of Six Flags. And because he wants to think, he doesn't just want to go, he wants to go, and he worked so hard, he wants to see, think about what he's going to do when he gets there and all the rides. And he opens the brochure, and he's a little boy, but he sees that they're advertising, we have the biggest roller coaster in the world with 2 loops. It goes in circles. And the boy he's a little boy, and he's terrified. He goes, I have to go on the roller coaster. It's a scary roller coaster. He looks at it, and it says it goes so many miles an hour. And he tells his friends, do you know what they have there? It's like these roller coasters. They go, yeah, but don't worry, they have straps that holds you in, but it goes upside down. I'm skinny. The kid's terrified. His friends say, listen, not everybody goes in the roller. There's other things also. You can go on the Ferris wheel. He goes, yeah, okay, what's a Ferris wheel? And they say, the Ferris wheel, it's a big thing, and it goes in a circle, but there's no upside down. And he goes, oh, that sounds good. But the other kid goes, yeah, my brother was in the Ferris wheel once, and it got stuck at the top, and for 3 hours he was there, and the guys in the cart were shaking it, and he was screaming. And he goes through the whole park, and he realizes that he has to rethink this whole thing. This is a scary place. This isn't sitting home on the couch and watching something. This is scary. And he's very worried. He's an innocent kid. He's so excited, but he's torn. It's so scary. So he goes over to yeshiva. He's going to go to the guy who takes them on the trip. He goes to the mechanech. And he goes over to the mechanech, and he says to the mechanech, Rabbi, I'm involved. I was one of the leaders in this trip, but I don't know if I want to go now. It's so scary. I'm terrified. How can I go on the trip? It's not, maybe not for little boys. I'm too young. It's too scary. I'm going to get hurt. And the boy thinks that the rabbi is going to put his arm on him and talk him. He wants to be talked into it, and the rabbi looks at him, and his whole eyes get fiery. And he goes, you're scared to go on the trip? He goes, go back to your room. You can't go on the trip. You're going to sit in the room the whole day. Wait for the buses. You go back to your room. The boy's dazed. He goes back to his room. That's story number 1. Story number 2, it's the same school. It's not a terrible school. This mechanech hired the most unbelievable principal. He has a menahel in the yeshiva, a young guy who's always looking for ways to adapt and to make things better. And he hires this Menahel. And the Menahel did wonders in this school. A good majority of the school doesn't come from the most religious families, strongest backgrounds. A good amount of the kids, they came from poorer backgrounds, more difficult, hard backgrounds. And this Menahel took every kid and he lit a fire in them. Sometimes these kind of kids are defensive. They're not the best in learning. They don't know everything, so they act cool, like they're not interested. This Menahel came and he got every kid, all in. Kids get there in the morning, you could see the fire in their eyes. They love their principal. They love him. He sees him in the hallway. He always knows what to say. And somehow he built up these kids, and all these kids are on fire. And they'll do anything for them in a hell. He can take them wherever he wants to take them. And he takes them, they learn, and they make siyumim, and they're growing as people. It's the most unbelievable thing. But the way this Menahel accomplishes it is because he thinks about it, and he puts effort. And one of the things this Menahel does is when he hears that there's a special conference on education, on chinuch, somewhere, he goes, he listens, he attends every class at the teacher's seminar, and he comes back with all the good new ideas. And this Menahel goes and he takes 3 days, he goes out of the country, he has to fly a different state, and he goes and he sits in the conferences. But what happens is the entire time this Menahel, this Rebbe is there by the conference learning all the new things he's going to bring more fire and more light into his kids' lives. All those kids, they're lost. All the fancy kids in the school, the relatives of the leadership, the kids who know everything, they walk around and the protector's not here. The guy, the Rebbe who builds them up. And the first day goes by and the kids walk around the halls and they start to get a little insecure. It was the Rebbe who smiles at me, who pats me on the back, who tells me, "No, how'd it go today?" He's not there. And by the third day, the kids don't know what to do. Where's our Rebbe? I need my Rebbe. My Rebbe is the one who gives me the chizuk. He's the one who builds me up. And the kids don't know how to deal with him. They walk around, they have insecurities because the fancy, the rich kids, the kids who know everything, walking around. And somehow these kids all gravitate into the gym. And they're all there, all the worried, the scared kids. And they're in the gym and they all bring the last day, they bring the next day to say, well, let's go, what are we going to do? They go, they're scared, they don't know what to do, they're lost without their Rebbe. And they all bring, one brings a boombox, and one brings little speakers with songs and MP3s and iPhones, and they make a party. And they're sitting there in the gym. They want nothing more but to learn. But they were on fire, but they weren't strong enough to go on their own. They needed their Rebbe. The Rebbe's not there. He's gone. He's coming back with great information. But how are they going to survive till he comes back? And till he comes back, they sit there. They go to the gym and they try and play their music and make fun and lebedik. And one of the boys and the other boys in the school from the fancy families, he comes and he looks in the window of the gym. He hears noise and he goes to the gym and he sees all these kids. I knew they shouldn't be in the school. He sees all these kids over there, and one's breakdancing and one's beatboxing, and they're having this big, huge party. Everyone's singing and dancing in there. And he goes, "This is what they do in the yeshiva." And he goes, he calls the Menahel, he calls the guy who runs the school, the big mechanech, and he tells him, "What should we do?" And the mechanech goes and he looks in the window, and he barges into the room with the boys, and he tells the boys, "You go," all the good boys, goes, "You go confiscate all their stuff." And he takes all their stuff and he puts all the boom boxes and the little things and the MP3s, and he puts it into a box and he puts it into driveway, and he has the school bus drive over the box with all their things. And he tells all the boys, "You're all suspended. We should never have taken you into the school here." What do you do if there's leaders like this? These are true stories. You know who the story is with? The Mechanech is the Rebbeinu Shalom, our God. Klal Yisrael dreamt for all the years a promised land. In Eretz Yisrael, everybody has a promised land. Klal Yisrael dreamt of Eretz Yisrael. We're going to leave Mitzrayim, we're Avodim. And for years, and Mitzrayim, Moshe takes them and they go and they leave Mitzrayim and they're going in the desert and they're scared. And as they get closer to Eretz Yisrael, they're so excited. We're going to finally go on our vacation. We're going to where we wanted to go. We're going to our land. We dreamt of this all along. And then the boy gets it, they send Meraglim in, they come back with a brochure of all about this land. And the boys, Klal Yisrael looks at the brochure, and it's scary. There's giants, armies, fortified cities. And they go back to Moshe Rabbeinu and they say, Moshe, we're scared to go. We know we love this land. We dreamt of this land. 400 years in Mitzrayim, all we did was think about Eretz Yisrael. And now we're ready to go in. And it's scary. So what does Moshe Rabbeinu say? What does Hashem say? You can't go in the land. You're going to stay in the desert. What kind of Eitzah is that? How do we explain this Eitzah? Because you're scared? He was scared. It's a roller coaster. Give him chizuk. What's the second story? The second story is Klal Yisrael comes out, Havadim, from Mitzrayim, and Moshe Rabbeinu builds them up. Nisim and chizuk. And over time, he makes them into an am. And they're the best students. They're sitting there. Hashem has such nachat. And then Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to Har Sinai to get a little more information, to teach the kids, to make a little, to receive a Torah, more hadracha, more information, to become a better school, a better mechanach. And while Moshe is there, the people, Ha'ish Moshe, we don't know what to do without him. How do we live without Moshe? And because they're without Moshe, they don't know what to do. They make an egel, and they're dancing, and they're singing, and they're trying to cope with it. And Moshe Rabbeinu comes down from the mountain, and they took all their gold and all their silver to make this thing, to distract them so that they don't have to deal with the Tsar, because their leader, the teacher who carried them. I'm not strong enough to be carried on my own. And Moshe takes them, and he brings them, and then Moshe's gone. And what do the people do when he's gone? Ha'ish Moshe lo yodanu mehoyalo. We don't know what happened to him. What do we do? Moshe's not here. So they go and they build this egel, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says what? You take the egel and you grind it up into a powder and you're all thrown out. Because why? Because we're lost, because we need chizuk, because we need strength. How do we understand the story of the egel, the story of the meraglim? This is the shoresh of Tisha B'Av. Ultimately, all tsar, this is the human story. And we need to understand it. The human story is, this isn't just the story of the Meraglim, this is today's story. Every single person in the world has his land. Your promised land. The thing you dreamt of from when you were little. The house you wanted to have, the husband, the wife, the children, the job and the car and the kehillah and the friends and the neighborhood. What is it that you want? What was your dream? Everybody has dreams. When you're young, you're alive, and you're on fire, and you're so inspired, and you wake up early, you want to go out, and you want to build your life. You want to enter your promised land. You're willing to cross the deserts, build what you have to build, fight the battles you have to have, because this is the life I deserve. This is what my neshama craves. And we all live, and we try and go there. But then there's another voice in our heads. And the voice that says, Lo yuchal, I can't. They're bigger than me. They're stronger than me. Who am I? I'm not going to do this shidduch. I'm not going to get into this yeshiva. I'm not going to make money. I'm not going to be able to do this. Everybody has the second voice. We're insecure and we're afraid. It started with Adam Harishon in Gan Eden. It's also an eternal story. Gan Eden. This is the Gan. We all live in a Gan. The world is the most magnificent world. This is a Gan. Forest Hills isn't a Gan. America's not a Gan. Earth isn't a Gan. It's a Gan. But you know what happens? We look around the Gan and we see children and parnassah and beauty and music and knowledge and wisdom and justice. And I want all these things. It's so beautiful. But then there's another voice that, who, you? You're going to get that? La yuchal, you can't do that, you can't make it. You know what you did, you know what you thought, you know where you went, you don't deserve that. It's not. There's two voices. For every voice of a dream, there's a voice of the fear. And the voice of the fear says, La yuchal. And therefore, what do Adam and Chava do? The same thing everybody since Adam and Chava did. They're in the middle of a Gan, and instead of living in the Gan, they run and they hide in the bushes. Because they're ashamed. I can't do it. And the entire world, every one of the children of Adam HaRishon, since then, for 6,000 years, we're copying our appearance. We all see our Gan, we see our promised lands, and we all curl up into a little ball in the bushes. Even if the bushes have thorns, and even if the bushes hurt, it's worth it to stay in the thorns, in the bushes, than chas v'shalom, to go out into the Gan, to go to what I wanted, and to see that my dream is out of reach, and they're going to tell me no. I'm going to apply to this yeshiva, and they're going to say no. I'm going to try and do this shidduch, and she's going to say no. I'm going to go for this parnasah, and they're going to say no. It's easier to curl up in the bushes. We understand the problem. I understand the meraglim. I understand Adam HaRishon. But how is the answer to give him petch, to hit him? How is that the answer? When someone's insecure, the Jews came and they said, we went there, we felt like grasshoppers. They're giants, we're grasshoppers. So you know what the cure to someone who thinks he's a grasshopper is? What's the cure? You think you're a grasshopper. Would anyone say the cure is, okay, crush him? How does hitting someone, insulting someone, giving musar to someone who's broken, how does that work? How do you explain the mechanech of all mechanchim? So I have a half an hour talk. I should never have started something so negative that I don't have a whole day to build up the yofi. I'm going to tell you enough, but I want to say the disclaimer. I'm saying this because I work in Kiruv. And Tisha B'Av is here to address everybody. Even the people who are angry. And more I meet angry people who talk like this. So I wanted to start off talking the response to the people who talk like this. Hashem is, that they have to put Hashem on, kavyochel on defensive. And then we'll get to the rest of us who, we also suffer. But we're not saying that Hashem is wrong. We're saying help us understand. So we'll talk. There's limited what you could do. But what's the real answer here for step one? How do you answer all the people who talk about Hashem like he's the bad guy, chas v'shalom? So the answer is, if you look at the story of the meraglim, the way the Torah tells this is the way the Torah tells the story. I almost told you the story exactly the same way it really happens. Almost. Except one thing, everyone knows this. What did I describe was the problem of the meraglim? They were scared. Does the Torah say they were scared? Yes. Did they say we can't do it? Yes. But that's not why they were punished. Hashem doesn't punish anyone for saying lo yuchal. He doesn't say that. That's the world. Everyone says I can't. There's not a person in the world who doesn't have both voices. I think that's why we have two ears. Because you could even have both voices at the same time. One ear I hear, oh, you remember what you wanted, you know what you want, you know how beautiful, and the other voice says, no, but you. And life is the struggle between those two voices. Nobody gets punished for the two voices. Why were the meraglim punished? What was the chet of the meraglim? Everyone knows. What was the chet? What did you learn in school? What did they do wrong? Somebody knew? They said Lashon Hara on the land. Where does that fit in this story? Because there's something I skipped. We didn't go the next step. Chas v'shalom that Hashem punishes you when you're insecure. When you're insecure, Hashem carries you. Hashem holds you. Hashem sends you messengers to help you and Rebbeim and friends. The story of the meraglim and the story of the Egel need a little extra information. What happens when someone says, I can't do it? So there's two bad things that happen. There's two ways to cope, negative ways. There's the good way and the two, we'll do the good way in the end. What are the two negative ways? Everybody, I'm telling you, we all have the same two voices. So what is the response to the voice in my head that says, you can't do it? So now I'm torn. I love this, I want it so much, so much. On the other hand, it's never going to happen. So how do you live with those two voices? Answer number one is the meraglim. You want this land, but you're scared. You want this land, but you're scared. So what do? You say it's a stupid land. Who needs this land? It's Eretz Ochelis Yoshvea. There's bugs and it's noisy and it's loud and there's traffic and there's smog. It's a great adventure. There's lines in the park. You're going to wait in line for hours. The drinks cost $16 for 16 ounces of Coca-Cola. It's hot. It's sunny. People throw up. You're going to go on a bus for hours. You're going to park. You know how far the walk from the parking lot is to the park. Who needs the park? What we do in life is when we have dreams and we're scared and we don't believe the dreams will come true, you know what we do? We make fun of our own dreams. We deny our dreams. We denigrate our dreams. We desecrate our dreams. We diminish our dreams. We destroy our dreams. The way to cope of a dream, Hashem put us here at a gan. And He wants you to live in a gan, but we're scared. But you know what we do when we're scared? We say it's not a gan. Who needs this gan? It's a terrible gan. It's poison. That's what we say. And that's the story of the Meraglim. The Mechanech is not responding to an insecure kid. You have to understand the Chachma of Chazal, the Torah, the Chazal, the way they explain the story. This is one of the two ways people cope. Is they look at their gan and they say it's not a gan. And there's nothing worse that you can do. Because the second you convince yourself that this dream is a lousy dream, a bad dream, so what is your chance now of ever achieving simcha? As long as I was scared, I could still have simcha. I just need to get brave. I need a little confidence. I need a little push. But once you destroy the dream, you can't fulfill a dream that doesn't exist anymore. The goal of the Meraglim was to solve the universal problem of humanity. This is everyone's problem. Everyone thinks they're the only one. Everyone you know has the same situation. Very big dreams and very big fears. 2 ears, and that's the world. What we have to be nizhar, the avodah, the job, is to make sure that the temptation to silence your dream and degrade, to deny your dream doesn't happen. And that's the Meraglim. And what is the story of the Egel? A different problem. They're just as scared and they have just as much dreams. It's the same people. Dreams and fears. What am I going to do? Where's Moshe? I can't live without Moshe. We're not going to be able to do it. Oh, we wanted so bad, but we only made it this far because Moshe was here. Now Moshe's not here. We're going to get stuck. My dream is never going to happen. The bus is going to break down on the way. I'm going to get there. There's going to be a line. I'm going to wait 4 hours. I'll never get on the ride. Whatever. We're not going to have money. I'm not going to be able to pay the bill. I'm going to lose the credit card. Whatever it is, the park will be closed. It'll be broken. It'll be raining. There's a million reasons why we believe we'll never get to what we get. So one way is to deny your dream. The Meraglim deny, it's a stupid dream. What's the other way? Noise. You bring out the music and you bring out the instruments and we distract ourselves. I'll find something. This is what I really want. I didn't want a shidduch. I wanted to party. I didn't want to have a hard job and make money and come home and put money that I earned in my hands. I want to cheat and steal. I wanted to listen to dance to loud music instead of sit and work hard and learn something. One way is to deny your dreams, and the other one is you replace, you distract yourself from your dreams. You find fake replacements. Moshe Rabbeinu, look at how Torah describes what happened by the Egel. And then you won't have any problems understanding the real story. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down from the mountain, and he hears noise. He goes, what's the noise? And he's with Yoshua, and he says, Ein kol anot gvura. It's not the sound of a response to victory. It doesn't sound like somebody won a war where the noise is cheering and laughing and partying. The ein kol anot chalusha, and it's not the sound of a response to defeat. It doesn't sound like people moaning. It doesn't sound like people crying. So what is it? I hear noise. It's not the noise of victory. It's not the noise of defeat. Ein kol anot gvura, ve'ein kol anot chulusha. What is it? Kol anot anochi shomea. It's just noise. It's not the noise of victory. It's not the noise of defeat. It's kol anot. It's not a response to victory. Not a response to defeat. It's our response to what? There's no word. It's just noise. People make noise because you know what noise does? Some noise is joy, and some noise is crying. Those are holy noises, both of them. But the other noise is just the noise that drowns out my voices. I tell the secular college students when I go there, you think the rabbis are telling you don't go to clubs because we don't want you to be happy? You think the Torah is trying to hold you back from being happy? Chas v'shalom, the whole Torah is to live in the Gan. It's the advice of how to go into your garden, how to come out of your bushes. If the Torah says don't go to the club, you know why it's saying? Because nobody ever went to a club to be happy. You go to a club for one reason, and that's because every year they get darker and louder. It's a place to hide from everything you ever wanted. That is the modern Egel. It's a place to go that all my dreams that are causing me such pain, they don't exist because it's noisy. I'm busy, I'm distracted. There are two ways that human beings hide from everything they ever wanted. It's very simple, everything we said till here. Two ways. You have a dream and you have a fear. And therefore you can either destroy your dream, deny your dreams, or distract yourself from your dreams. The Meraglim make fun of the dreams, deny the dreams. And the Egel distract themselves. You either need noise or cynicism. These are the cures. And this is the problem. The Torah is telling us how to deal with the things that are going to rob you of your simcha. All averot fall into two categories. Is the avera denying my dreams, or is the avera distracting myself from my dreams? In the Haftorah of the weeks before Tisha B'Av, we talk about Chorban, and the Haftorah describes Chet Chata Yerushalayim, a sin they sinned, two sins. The Haftorah last week said that there were two Chataim. What were the two Chataim? Osi Azvu, they abandoned me, and they replaced me with Be'erois Nishporim Asher Lo Yocholu Mayim. There's a double sin. Shtayim Poshu Bi, Hashem says. In two ways they rebelled against me. One is they ran away from me, and one is they replaced it with broken cisterns that don't hold water. These are the two averot of every dar. We're all children of the Meraglim and the Egel. We do both. We make fun of our dreams. We say, it was la la land. Who said that's never going to come true? It doesn't work like that. You're a dreamer. We make fun of dreamers. And the other side, we distract ourselves with every ridiculous, cheap, petty thrill. And the Hashem says, oh, you want to go to the bar? You don't like your home? Okay. How about if I lock the door of the bar? Tell me when you're ready to go home. That's the only thing that works. And then, let me in, I want to go. When people lie and they deny and they distract, this is the avodah is to replace. Let me, because I told you two negative ways, after Chatzot on Tisha B'Av, we could talk about Nechama, consolation. So I want to give, from the rest of my time, not the two Chataim, the two ways we run away from our Gan, from our promised land. Let me tell you the two ways to deal with Lo Uchal, the two holy ways to deal with Lo Uchal. What are the two responses we should have to the voice in my head that says I can't? It's a real voice. How do you respond to the voice that I can't? So there are many ways. I'm going to give you two, because I told you the two negative ways. The first way to deal with Lo Uchal is, where is the first time in the Torah describes the idea of are you able? Where's the first time the Torah talks about being able versus being not able? Yaakov has a fight with the angel of Esav, and they fight the whole night. And Yaakov holds the angel of Esav, and he's winning. And the angel of Esav says, in retrospect, one of the most important lines in Jewish history. He says to Yaakov, your name should no longer be Yaakov. Your name from now on will be Yisrael. This is where we get the name Yisrael. Why? Ki sarisa im Elokim va'anashim va'tukal. Because you struggled with God and with man, and you were able. You've dealt with people, ruchniot and gashmiot, and you were matzliach in both. Va'tukal, you were able. Because ki sarita, because you struggled with God and with man and were able, I'm going to call you Yisrael forever. What's wrong with that story? You see the problem? They struggled with God and with man and they were able. What is the point of the story? If you wanted to say what was the message, they were able, they did it. He struggled and he won. What should they have named him? What should the Malach have called Yaakov? Yaakov, you struggled, ki sarita, im Elokim v'tukal, and you were able. He should have named him Abel. We should be called Uchal. If the entire struggle of life is that we're not able, we're scared, and we taka are able and we win, so wouldn't that be the best name? Vatukal? Name us all able. But that's not what he says. He says you struggled and you were able, and therefore we're calling you Yisrael, which means you struggled. And this is the first answer to the question. Whenever your voice in your head says, I can't do this, you know what it means to be a Jew? It's not about what you could do or what you can't do. Did you struggle? Did you jump in? Are you alive? Let me say it even better. What is the dream that everybody has? You think the dream is a house? You think the dream is a job? The dream is to be everything you could be. We give it a shape because at any point in my life, I think that's what I think is great. But when I find something else that's great, my dream will expand. I don't have a real dream. My dream is to be, to live, to fulfill all of my potential, to be everything that Hashem allowed me to be. And we have no idea what that is. No one knows what they're going to end up being. Your job in life is not to be able. You don't know what you're able to, what you're not. You may be able to do more than you think or less than you think. But your goal is to be. Ki sarita, to jump in. When you're alive when you're doing things, when you're throwing yourself in. What defines a Jew is Yaakov is not called able. He's called struggled. You jumped. You feel alive. Your goal of life, the dream is to be alive. To be able to live without fear, without curling up into a ball. And the second that you realize that it's not about being able, but about jumping, then you're able to jump because I'm not scared. It's not failure. I can't be everything. Whatever I be, I'll be. That's the Jew. Whenever you think you hear the name Israel, Yisrael, what it means is one thing. We jump. There's a beautiful pasuk in Tehillim that says this. When the waves rise up, Hashem praises them. You praise them when the waves rise. Everybody knows that every wave that ever rose, 1 second later it fell and was crushed into foam. But the pasuk is saying, "B'so galav," when the waves rise up, atot teshabchim, you praise them, not because they conquered the land and they invaded. They didn't. They're right back in the water where they started. But they rose. Our job as people is to live. Churban is where you lie low and you don't jump. You don't rise in a wave. You never go. This loy tuchal owns you. Forget the uchal. A Jew is the person who's all in. This is the first test, the first way to deal with Uchal. The second one is what I'll end with. If the sign of Kedusha is to be in, and the bad thing is to be afraid, Lo Uchal. So how can we find in this week's parasha we just read that even Moshe Rabbeinu said Lo Uchal, I can't? Where was his emunah? What does Moshe Rabbeinu say? Lo uchal levadi se'et etchem. I can't myself lift, I can't carry you. He said, I can't carry the Jews alone. So how come Moshe was allowed to say Leuchal? How come the Meraglim couldn't say Leuchal? Moshe is just angry. He's angry at the Meraglim. He punishes the tribes of Reuven, Gad, and Chatzi Menashe that maybe they were afraid to go into Israel. And they said we weren't afraid. But Moshe understands this idea of fear. And then Moshe himself says it. Well, Uchal Levadi. So what's the answer? The answer is, let me say it like this. This isn't necessarily limited to Judaism, this talk. The entire world has finally started to understand this. Every self-help book you read today talks about these topics that the Torah has been dealing with for thousands of years. They understand that all the problems in the world are fear. And everyone's insecure. And every book is trying to figure out how do we help people maximize themselves. They have better words. Maximize. How to achieve. How to be. Everyone understands that the problem of life is insecurity. It's low self-esteem. They're very good at naming things, but we have books on it. The entire Torah is the book of encouraging Adam and Chava out of the bushes, to believe they can live in the Gan, to enter the land, to leave Mitzrayim, to accept the Torah, to climb Har Sinai. But what is the idea that all these books say? You know what the mantra is? When you say Lo Yuchal, what does every self-help book tell you? It's not true. You can do anything. The sky's the limit. Where there's a will, there's a way. Nothing will stand in your way. Right? You can be anything. Just dream. The entire world is trying to solve the problem of Lo Yuchal by no Uchal. You could. And it's the biggest sheker. And I think everyone knows it's not true. Does anyone really believe they could be everything? You believe you could be everything? Can you fly? So why does the whole world keep on saying this? It must have some effect. So let me tell you a secret. You know what the secret is of why it works when you say this? It's a ridiculous thing to say. The answer is not that you could be anything. You're important. The world needs you. You can accomplish unbelievable dreams, but you're not everything. When someone's scared, the answer isn't you can do everything. But for some reason, this is very, very deep. When someone says to me, you can do everything, you can do it, don't worry, no, you can do it, very often it works. Why does it work? He didn't change, he didn't give me arguments about my abilities. He didn't change my self-perception in any way about my skills. But you know what he did? When someone says, you can do it, stop, you can do anything, you know what I hear? I hear somebody loves me. Somebody cares about me. I matter. He believes in me. It doesn't change your perception about what you can do. But when someone shows you concern, all of a sudden you feel like a person. And when you feel like a person, you're not afraid to live. You can go, you can rise in your wave. What Moshe Rabbeinu says, Moshe doesn't say Leuchal. Leuchal levadi, I can't do it alone. If the entire Klal Yisrael is kvetching and everyone's against you, there's nothing you can do. When Yoshua gets up and he tells them you can go in, you know what he says? He doesn't say Yochel, we could go. Yochel Nuchal, we can go. You can't do anything. We can do everything. The secret of being a feeling that you can live in the world, no one's perfect. You're not going to become everything you want to be. But when you feel loved and you feel cared about, then you're not worried that if I fall, I'm worth nothing. Because I am valid. And this is the end of the discussions of Horeb and the beginning. Eicha starts, Eicha Yashva Badad. The entire Horeb is described in terms of it sat alone. How the city of Yerushalayim sat alone. The secret of all Churban is loneliness. Because when a person is alone, then no one cares about them. And they have no way to feel their value. And therefore, if I take a risk and I fail, I'm crushed. But if someone loves me and someone cares about me and I have chaverim, and I'm together in a group, then I'm validated. And then I can go jump into the world and live life. Because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Because I'm valid. This is the secret of why Sinat Chinam is the root of the Churban. Because if there's Sinat Chinam, and nobody has anybody who cares, then no one's going to believe. And if no one believes in themselves, then no one's going to live, and everyone's going to live in their little bushes, hiding, curled up into a little ball, and the entire land will Eicha Yashva Badad Ha'ir Rabatiyam. The secret of being able is to know that people care. The tikkun of Churban is not getting rid of Sinat Chinam. The tikkun of Churban is to give people chizuk. Not that you could do anything, but that I care about you. I'll give you a mashal to end. A very real mashal. Imagine you have a guy, he used to have beautiful hair. Big hair. And then he went bald. He was young. And when people have hair when they're young, they pride themselves. He used to brush his hair, he used to be careful. I only go to that barber. If he's on vacation, he'll wait a month. And then he loses his hair. He walks around with a baseball cap all day because he's so insecure to walk around because he's bald. I'm bald. My hair is so important. And he walks around with a baseball cap. And everywhere he goes, shul, he takes his baseball cap off, put his hat on, or take his talis on right away. Shouldn't be any break between my hat and my talit. And then the person gets married. So you know what happens? When you have a relationship with somebody, they're going to see you without your hat on. All your efforts to walk around with that. There are times in life where you're terrified to take off your hat, but eventually they're going to catch you without a hat. The secret of a relationship is, everyone thinks that, you know what relationships are about? Relationships are, I'm going to help you, you're going to help me, we're going to fix our stuff. That's not what a relationship is. I can't change anybody. No one's changing me, I'm not changing you. You know what we do? When someone comes in without their hat, and you see them without their hat, and you love them anyway, so what happens? You didn't change that. And the guy realizes that everything I was afraid of is not true. I'm not without my hat, and now it's all fine. She didn't say anything. And the guy can go out now in the entire street, in the entire world without his hat on. Because he discovered that his flaw, the loy uchal, is only dangerous when I'm going to be crushed. When someone knows your flaw and accepts you anyway, then you're free. And you never need the hat again. This is the secret of how Sinat Chinam, instead what we do is we do the opposite, Sinat Chinam. We know everyone's thing. I know what makes you insecure, and you know me, and we push each other's buttons all day long. As long as you push people's buttons, then people will walk around in the street with baseball caps, with coats on. They won't open their mouths because they don't want to sound stupid. They won't sing because they have a bad voice. They won't play ball because they can't hit a shot. They won't draw. They won't do anything. They won't enter business. They won't do anything because everyone is being called out by everyone and being reminded of all their chasronot all the time. If we would just go around and when we see someone's flaws, it's a gift. The second you see his flaw, you just got a gift. You have a chance to be a goel, a redeemer. You could be a little bit of a Mashiach for this person. You saw this person's flaw, and if you look at them and you smile like nothing happened, you just freed this person to walk into his promised land. May we be zochet to love each other, to see everyone's flaws and accept them, and allow everybody therefore to have the confidence to walk into their Eretz HaKodesh and to experience the simcha that Hashem meant for them. We should all see the emes of Geula b'korov. Amen.